There is something happening in your nervous system right now that most people will go their entire lives without understanding. Not as metaphor, not as spiritual aspiration, as measurable, documentable, electrochemical fact. Your brain is generating approximately 23 watts of electrical power at this moment. That power is moving through roughly 86 billion neurons, each one firing in patterns so precise and so layered that the computational equivalent has never been built by human hands. And those firing patterns, the specific rhythms of your neural oscillations, are generating an electromagnetic field, a real one, a field that extends beyond the boundary of your skull, beyond the surface of your skin, into the space around your body, where it meets the quantum field and begins to interact with it in ways that modern physics is only beginning to measure. That field is your broadcast, and it carries your thoughts, not in some poetic sense where your attitude shapes your outlook, and your outlook shapes your choices. In a more literal, more measurable, more astonishing sense than that. The electromagnetic signature of your neural activity, the actual wave pattern produced by the way your neurons are firing right now, is a frequency. And frequency is information. And the quantum field, the substrate of probability and potential that underlies all physical matter, reads information and responds to it. This is what the title of this video is pointing at, not a motivational idea, a physical process. Your frequency, the specific electromagnetic signature your mind and heart are generating in this moment, is interacting with the quantum field in a way that literally reorganizes what becomes possible for you, what assembles in your direction, what dissolves before it can reach you. And the reason most people never consciously experience this is not because it isn't happening. It is happening constantly to everyone. The reason most people never consciously experience it is because they are broadcasting unconsciously. Their signal is fragmented, incoherent, running on old programs they never chose. And a fragmented signal does not generate a coherent response from the field. It generates a scattered one, a life that feels like it's being assembled by someone who doesn't quite understand what they asked for. Today, we are going to change that. Not by teaching you to think positive thoughts, not by giving you an affirmation to repeat, by showing you the actual mechanics of how your neural frequency interacts with quantum probability, what coherence means in the language of both neuroscience and physics, what your mind has been broadcasting without your knowledge, and what happens specifically and measurably when you become the conscious author of your own signal. By the end of this, you will understand something about your own mind that most people never learn, and that understanding itself will begin to shift your frequency. Because this is one of the rare cases where knowing the mechanism is part of activating it. Let's start with what your thoughts actually are at the level of physics. You have been taught to think of your thoughts as private, contained, happening inside your head in a way that is sealed off from the physical world until you choose to act on them. This is one of the most consequential misunderstandings in the history of human self-perception. Your thoughts are not private. They are electromagnetic events. Every thought you have is the product of a specific pattern of neural firing. Neurons communicate through electrochemical signals, and when large populations of neurons fire in coordinated patterns, they produce measurable electrical oscillations. These oscillations are what an electroencephalogram, an EEG, is recording when it's attached to your scalp. The machine isn't reading your thoughts in any interpretive sense. It is detecting the electromagnetic field produced by the mass electrical activity of your brain. It is measuring your mental frequency, and those frequencies have been categorized. Beta waves, oscillating between roughly 13 and 30 cycles per second, are the frequency of active, analytical, often anxious thinking, the frequency of a mind that is solving problems, worrying, planning, defending. Alpha waves, between 8 and 12 cycles per second, are the frequency of relaxed awareness, the creative threshold state, the place where the mind is open without being scattered. Theta waves, between 4 and 7 cycles per second, are the frequency of deep meditation, hypnagogic states, the edge of sleep, and profound insight. And gamma waves, above 30 cycles per second, are perhaps the most extraordinary of all, associated with states of heightened perception, peak experience, and what neuroscientists studying Tibetan monks have described as a quality of neural synchrony that seems to correlate with states of transcendent awareness. Each of these is a real electromagnetic frequency. Each has a measurable signature, and each creates a different quality of interaction between your personal field and the quantum substrate of reality. What is less commonly understood is that these wave states are not mutually exclusive in the way a simple chart might suggest. Your brain is not running purely in one frequency at a time. At any given moment, multiple wave patterns are present simultaneously, layered across different regions and networks. What changes is which frequency is dominant, which one is setting the tone for the whole orchestra. And the dominant frequency is what shapes the character of your broadcast. It is what the quantum field reads most clearly from you. This is why two people can be in the same external circumstances and produce radically different outcomes. Their situations are identical. Their broadcasts are not. One person is broadcasting from a dominant frequency of coherent alpha, open, present, receptive, and the quantum field around them is collapsing probability in the direction of that openness. The other is broadcasting from a dominant frequency of fragmented high beta, scanning for threat, bracing for failure, and the quantum field is responding to that instruction with equal precision. The circumstances did not determine the outcome. The broadcast did. Here is where it gets specific in a way that matters for your life. If this is landing for you, here is something I want to offer before we go further. Have you spent years trying to feel lit up again? Visualizations, affirmations, vibration work, and the light still won't hold? Every one of those methods is telling you to push harder, do more, add another technique. It's not working because the issue isn't that you don't have enough light. 6 specific patterns are sitting on top of it. They're called the frequencies of forgetting. The remembering field, a quantum guide to returning to the light you forgot you were carrying, walks through all 5 parts of getting those patterns off you. Every tool you used tried to add more light. This one lifts what's been sitting on the light. There is something happening in your nervous system right now that most people will go their entire lives without understanding. Not as metaphor, not as spiritual aspiration, as measurable, documentable, electrochemical fact. Your brain is generating approximately 23 watts of electrical power at this moment. That power is moving through roughly 86 billion neurons, each one firing in patterns so precise and so layered that the computational equivalent has never been built by human hands. And those firing patterns, the specific rhythms of your neural oscillations, are generating an electromagnetic field, a real one, a field that extends beyond the boundary of your skull, beyond the surface of your skin, into the space around your body, where it meets the quantum field and begins to interact with it in ways that modern physics is only beginning to measure. That field is your broadcast, and it carries your thoughts, not in some poetic sense where your attitude shapes your outlook, and your outlook shapes your choices. In a more literal, more measurable, more astonishing sense than that. The electromagnetic signature of your neural activity, the actual wave pattern produced by the way your neurons are firing right now, is a frequency. And frequency is information. And the quantum field, the substrate of probability and potential that underlies all physical matter, reads information and responds to it. This is what the title of this video is pointing at. Not a motivational idea, a physical process. Your frequency, the specific electromagnetic signature your mind and heart are generating in this moment, is interacting with the quantum field in a way that literally reorganizes what becomes possible for you, what assembles in your direction, what dissolves before it can reach you. And the reason most people never consciously experience this is not because it isn't happening. It is happening constantly to everyone. The reason most people never consciously experience it is because they are broadcasting unconsciously. Their signal is fragmented, incoherent, running on old programs they never chose. And a fragmented signal does not generate a coherent response from the field. It generates a scattered one, a life that feels like it's being assembled by someone who doesn't quite understand what they asked for. Today, we are going to change that. Not by teaching you to think positive thoughts, not by giving you an affirmation to repeat, by showing you the actual mechanics of how your neural frequency interacts with quantum probability, what coherence means in the language of both neuroscience and physics, what your mind has been broadcasting without your knowledge, and what happens specifically and measurably when you become the conscious author of your own signal. By the end of this, you will understand something about your own mind that most people never learn, and that understanding itself will begin to shift your frequency. Because this is one of the rare cases where knowing the mechanism is part of activating it. Let's start with what your thoughts actually are at the level of physics. You have been taught to think of your thoughts as private, contained, happening inside your head in a way that is sealed off from the physical world until you choose to act on them. This is one of the most consequential misunderstandings in the history of human self-perception. Your thoughts are not private. They are electromagnetic events. Every thought you have is the product of a specific pattern of neural firing. Neurons communicate through electrochemical signals, and when large populations of neurons fire in coordinated patterns, they produce measurable electrical oscillations. These oscillations are what an electroencephalogram, an EEG, is recording when it's attached to your scalp. The machine isn't reading your thoughts in any interpretive sense. It is detecting the electromagnetic field produced by the mass electrical activity of your brain. It is measuring your mental frequency, and those frequencies have been categorized. Beta waves, oscillating between roughly 13 and 30 cycles per second, are the frequency of active, analytical, often anxious thinking, the frequency of a mind that is solving problems, worrying, planning, defending. Alpha waves, between 8 and 12 cycles per second, are the frequency of relaxed awareness, the creative threshold state, the place where the mind is open without being scattered. Theta waves, between 4 and 7 cycles per second, are the frequency of deep meditation, hypnagogic states, the edge of sleep, and profound insight. And gamma waves, above 30 cycles per second, are perhaps the most extraordinary of all, associated with states of heightened perception, peak experience, and what neuroscientists studying Tibetan monks have described as a quality of neural synchrony that seems to correlate with states of transcendent awareness. Each of these is a real electromagnetic frequency. Each has a measurable signature, and each creates a different quality of interaction between your personal field and the quantum substrate of reality. What is less commonly understood is that these wave states are not mutually exclusive in the way a simple chart might suggest. Your brain is not running purely in one frequency at a time. At any given moment, multiple wave patterns are present simultaneously, layered across different regions and networks. What changes is which frequency is dominant, which one is setting the tone for the whole orchestra. And the dominant frequency is what shapes the character of your broadcast. It is what the quantum field reads most clearly from you. This is why two people can be in the same external circumstances and produce radically different outcomes. Their situations are identical. Their broadcasts are not. One person is broadcasting from a dominant frequency of coherent alpha, open, present, receptive, and the quantum field around them is collapsing probability in the direction of that openness. The other is broadcasting from a dominant frequency of fragmented high beta, scanning for threat, bracing for failure, and the quantum field is responding to that instruction with equal precision. The circumstances did not determine the outcome. The broadcast did. Here is where it gets specific in a way that matters for your life. If this is landing for you, here is something I want to offer before we go further. Have you spent years trying to feel lit up again? Visualizations, affirmations, vibration work, and the light still won't hold? Every one of those methods is telling you to push harder, do more, add another technique. It's not working. because the issue isn't that you don't have enough light. 6 specific patterns are sitting on top of it. They're called the frequencies of forgetting. The remembering field, a quantum guide to returning to the light. You forgot you were carrying walks through all 5 parts of getting those patterns off you. Every tool you used tried to add more light. This one lifts what's been sitting on the light you already carry. The longer you wait, the harder they get to clear. So go open it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now, let's return to the mechanics of what your broadcast is actually doing in every moment. When your brain is running primarily in high beta, which is the default state for most people in modern environments, the electromagnetic field it generates is fragmented. High beta is characterized by what neuroscientists call desynchronization, meaning different regions of the brain are firing in competing, uncoordinated patterns. The signal is noisy, and a noisy signal in any system is a weak signal. It carries information, but that information is contradictory. It is like trying to broadcast a clear transmission while several other stations are playing simultaneously on the same frequency. The message gets through, but it is garbled. And the quantum field, which responds to coherent information, responds to a garbled signal with garbled results. This is why people who are chronically anxious, chronically stressed, chronically running on the mental frequency of worry and defense, often feel like their lives are chaotic, like things keep going sideways in ways they didn't plan for, like the reality they are trying to build keeps collapsing at the edges. It is not a moral failure. It is a signal problem. Their broadcast is incoherent, and the quantum field is assembling reality around an incoherent instruction. Now here is the part that changes everything. Coherence is learnable. It is trainable. And the moment your neural frequency shifts from fragmented high beta into coherent alpha, or into the extraordinary state of gamma synchrony, the quality of your broadcast changes completely. Not just in terms of how you feel, though you do feel different, in terms of what the quantum field can read from you, in terms of the clarity and power of the signal you are sending out. And this is what the phrase, "your frequency just unlocked the quantum mind," actually means. Not that something was done to you from the outside, that you have, in this moment, the capacity to shift your own electromagnetic signature into a state of coherence so clear, so powerful, so precisely tuned that the quantum field begins to respond to you with a precision and a speed that will feel, to anyone who hasn't understood the mechanics, like something miraculous. It is not miraculous. It is physics. But physics, at this level, is so astonishing that the word miraculous is almost not strong enough. Let's talk about the quantum field itself, because this word gets used a lot in spaces like this, and it deserves to be treated with the respect of actual explanation. Quantum field theory is not fringe science. It is the most precisely tested theory in the history of physics. The Standard Model, which is built on quantum field theory, has made predictions that have been confirmed experimentally to a precision of 1 part in 10 billion. When physicists say that all matter arises from quantum fields, they are not speaking poetically. They are describing the best tested understanding of physical reality that human science has ever produced. At the quantum level, what we call matter, the solid seeming objects and bodies and surfaces of our everyday world, is not solid in the way it appears. It is, at its most fundamental level, a field of probability. Quantum objects do not have definite states until they are measured or interact with other systems. They exist in superposition, meaning they hold multiple potential states simultaneously, and the act of interaction, of information exchange with another system, is what collapses that superposition into a specific outcome. This is not a philosophical interpretation. It is the core mechanism of quantum mechanics, confirmed in thousands of experiments, including the famous double-slit experiment, which demonstrates that a quantum particle will behave differently depending on whether it is being observed. Whether information about its path is available to any measuring system, the presence or absence of information changes the physical outcome. Now, your brain and your heart are generating electromagnetic fields. Those fields carry information. That information is interacting at the quantum level with the probability fields that underlie physical reality, and the coherence or incoherence of that information, the clarity or fragmentation of your broadcast, is influencing how those probability fields collapse into specific outcomes. This is not a metaphor for the law of attraction. This is a description of a physical process. The question is not whether your frequency affects reality. It does, by the mechanisms of quantum field interaction. The question is whether you are broadcasting that frequency consciously or unconsciously, with coherence or with noise. Let me show you what this looks like in actual human experience. Think about a moment in your life when you walked into a situation already knowing in your body that it was going to go well, not because you had evidence that it would, because something in you was simply settled, clear, coherent. You weren't efforting toward a good outcome. You were simply present, and you were radiating a frequency that was so clean and so clear that the situation seemed to organize itself around you. Things fell into place. People responded to you with openness. Opportunities appeared that you hadn't planned for. The conversation went better than it had any right to. You probably attributed that to luck, or to being in a good mood, or to some indefinable quality of the day. It wasn't luck. It was coherence. Your neural and cardiac electromagnetic fields were, in that moment, broadcasting a signal of such clarity and such power that the quantum field around you was collapsing probability in your direction. You were, in the most literal physical sense, a magnet for the outcome you were already inhabiting in your frequency. And now think about the opposite. A moment when you walked into a situation already broadcasting anxiety, already running the frequency of anticipated failure or threat. And everything went sideways. Not because the situation was inherently worse. Often, it was the same kind of situation that had gone well before. But your signal was different, and the field responded accordingly. This is what it means when we say your thoughts are rewriting reality now. Not that thinking happy thoughts will make bad things disappear. That the specific electromagnetic frequency your mind is generating in this moment is actively participating in the quantum collapse of probability around you. And that participation is not passive. It is creative. It is the most powerful creative instrument you possess. If this is landing for you, if something in your field is already responding to what we are exploring here, take a moment to like this video and subscribe so we can keep going deeper together. Now let me introduce you to something that sits at the intersection of neuroscience and quantum mechanics in a way that most people never encounter. And that is the concept of neural coherence as a quantum phenomenon. In 1994, mathematician Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed what became known as the Orchestrated Objective Reduction Theory, or OR. Their proposal was controversial and remains debated, but it points at something that has since gathered significant supporting evidence. They proposed that quantum computation is occurring inside the microtubules of neurons, the tiny protein structures that form the internal scaffolding of nerve cells. Microtubules are extraordinarily small, operating at scales where quantum effects are not just possible, but probable. Penrose and Hameroff proposed that quantum superposition states are maintained within these structures, and that consciousness itself, the felt quality of your awareness, arises from the orchestrated collapse of those quantum states. That your mind is not just producing electromagnetic fields that interact with the quantum level of reality from the outside. Your mind is quantum at its core. Consciousness may be a quantum process happening inside the very cells of your nervous system. This is not settled science. But in 2014, a team at the University of California, Santa Barbara, found evidence of quantum coherence in biological systems, specifically in photosynthesis, demonstrating that living systems can maintain quantum coherence at room temperature, which had previously been thought impossible. And more recently, research has found evidence of quantum effects in bird navigation, in enzyme catalysis, and in the operation of DNA. Life, it turns out, has been using quantum mechanics all along. What this means for your mind is this. You are not a classical computer generating an electromagnetic field that happens to brush up against the quantum world. You may be a quantum system running quantum processes in the very substrate of your neurons, and the electromagnetic field you generate may be the external expression of an internal quantum reality. Your aura, the measurable field around your body, may be the quantum signature of a quantum mind. And if that is true, then the implications for what your frequency can do are not just significant. They are staggering. Because a quantum mind operating at coherence is not just broadcasting information. It is participating directly in the quantum probability field of reality, not from the outside, sending signals in, from the inside, as a constituent part of the same quantum substrate that underlies all matter and all possibility. You are not separate from the quantum field, sending it instructions from a distance. You are made of it. You are a localized, self-aware region of it. And when you achieve coherence, when your signal becomes clear and unified and powerful, you are not asking the quantum field to respond to you. You are the quantum field, becoming conscious of itself and directing its own creative power with intention. This is the unlocking the title is pointing at. Let me tell you about a woman named Solène. Solène had spent most of her professional life in a state she would have described as controlled urgency. She was good at her work, competent, thorough, reliable. But she operated from a frequency that she never examined, a background hum of mild but constant anxiety that she had mistaken for conscientiousness. She thought the anxiety was what made her good at her job. that the vigilance, the constant scanning for what could go wrong, was a feature of her competence rather than a cost she was paying. What she didn't know was that her neural field, running perpetually in high beta, fragmented and defensive, was broadcasting a signal that the people around her were reading without knowing they were reading it. Not her words, her field. And that field was saying something she never intended to say. It was saying, "Something is about to go wrong. Be careful. Don't relax." And people responded to that signal, not consciously, electromagnetically. Their own nervous systems, which are exquisitely sensitive to the electromagnetic fields of other people, were in training to her frequency. Meetings she ran had a particular quality of low-grade tension. Collaborations she was part of tended toward caution rather than creativity. The reality that assembled around her professional life was competent and careful and slightly airless, like a room where someone had quietly turned down the oxygen. She didn't understand why, despite doing everything right, things felt so effortful. Why success, when it came, felt like relief rather than joy. Why she never quite felt like she was operating at the level she knew she was capable of. Then, something happened that she described later as the most disorienting experience of her professional life. She was in a meeting that was going badly. A project she had worked on for months was being questioned, and she felt the familiar surge of defensive high beta, the frequency of threat and argument, and the need to prove. And then, for a reason she still can't fully explain, she stopped. Not stopped speaking. Stopped broadcasting the frequency of threat. She took one slow breath, not a theatrical breath, just a quiet one, and she felt something shift in her chest, a quality of settling. And then she spoke from that settled place, from that different frequency, and the room changed, not because of what she said. She said roughly what she had been planning to say. The room changed because her signal changed. Because the electromagnetic field she was broadcasting shifted from fragmented high beta into something more coherent, something warmer and clearer and more certain. And the people in the room, whose nervous systems were reading her field in real time, responded to the new signal. The project was approved. But more than that, the quality of the conversation changed. People who had been defensive became curious. Ideas that had been stuck began to move. Solène spent the next 6 months learning to understand what had happened in that moment. Learning the difference between the frequency of controlled urgency and the frequency of coherent presence. Learning that the anxiety she had mistaken for conscientiousness was not making her better at her work. It was dimming the signal of her actual capability. It was broadcasting noise where her real frequency, clear and powerful and warm, had been trying to get through all along. She hadn't become more competent. She had stopped jamming her own broadcast. This is the story of most people's relationship with their own frequency. Not that they lack power, that they are using energy to suppress the very signal they are trying to send. There is a particular cruelty in this arrangement that is worth sitting with for a moment, because the anxiety that was jamming Solenne's signal was itself generated by her desire to do well. She cared deeply. She worked hard. She wanted to bring her best. And that wanting running through a nervous system that had learned to treat effort and vigilance as the same thing was producing the exact electromagnetic interference that was preventing her best from getting through. The very intensity of her care was becoming the static in her transmission. This is not unusual. It may be the most common form of self-interference there is. The person who wants the relationship most badly broadcasts the frequency of need and scarcity that makes genuine connection harder to establish. The person who wants the creative breakthrough most desperately runs the high beta frequency of striving that blocks the theta wave access where breakthroughs actually live. The person who wants to be seen most clearly broadcasts the anxious, effortful frequency of someone trying to be seen, which paradoxically makes them harder to read. The solution is not to care less. It is to carry the caring differently, to let the intention remain while releasing the frequency of straining toward it, to inhabit the coherent signal of someone who has already arrived, rather than the fragmented signal of someone still fighting to get there. Solène learned this. It took her 6 months of deliberate practice, and then it became her natural frequency. The anxiety didn't disappear entirely, but it lost its grip on her broadcast. And the professional reality that assembled around her in the following year was so different from what had preceded it that colleagues who had known her for a decade commented on the change without being able to name what had shifted. What had shifted was not visible. It was electromagnetic. It was her. Have you ever had a moment like Solène's, where something in your field just settled and the room around you shifted with it? I would genuinely love to hear about it. Share your experience in the comments below. Now let me give you something practical. Not a visualization to do later. Something to do right now, in this moment, that will begin to shift your neural frequency in a measurable way. This practice is called Coherent Field Anchoring, and it works through the mechanism of heart-brain synchronization. The HeartMath Institute, based in Boulder Creek, California, has spent more than 30 years studying the electromagnetic field generated by the human heart. Their measurements have confirmed that the heart's electromagnetic field is approximately 60 times stronger in amplitude than the brain's, and extends in a torus shape, a donut-shaped field, several feet beyond the body in every direction. This is the primary component of what we call the aura, not a metaphysical concept, a measured electromagnetic reality. What HeartMath has also demonstrated is that the pattern of your heart rate, not just the speed, but the rhythmic variation between beats, carries information that is readable by other people's nervous systems. When your heart rate variability, the rhythm of your heartbeat, is in a state they call coherence, which means a smooth, sine wave-like pattern rather than a jagged, irregular one, the information broadcast by your cardiac field changes completely. It becomes a signal of safety, openness, and creative availability. And that signal entrains the nervous systems of people around you, literally synchronizing their own heart rhythms to yours. But more than that, heart coherence has been shown to synchronize with the brain's own electromagnetic output, creating a state of heart-brain synchrony that is associated with heightened intuition, expanded perception, and what researchers describe as a quality of access to information that seems to exceed what the conscious mind alone can process. This is the mechanism behind those moments when you just knew something, when information arrived that you hadn't reasoned your way to, when the right answer appeared before you had time to think it through. That was heart-brain coherence. That was your quantum mind operating with a clarity that your analytical beta wave thinking, for all its usefulness, cannot match. Here is how to enter that state now. Place one hand on the center of your chest, not as a gesture, as a way of directing your attention to the electromagnetic source of your primary field. Feel the warmth of your own hand. Feel, if you can, the subtle pulse of your heart beneath it. Now breathe in a specific rhythm. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Not forced, not dramatic. A smooth, even, continuous breath that creates a wave-like rhythm. In for 5 counts, out for 5 counts. This specific rhythm, 5 seconds per phase, has been shown in heart math research to produce heart rate variability coherence in most people within 90 seconds. You are not doing a relaxation exercise. You are tuning your cardiac oscillator to its coherent frequency. As you breathe in this rhythm, bring your attention to a feeling. Not a thought about a feeling, an actual felt sense. Choose something that generates genuine warmth in your chest. A person you love, an animal, a place that has made you feel safe and open. Don't analyze it. Just feel it. Let the warmth expand from your chest outward. What you are doing right now is shifting your heart rate variability into coherence. And as your cardiac field shifts into coherence, it begins to synchronize with your neural oscillations. Your brain, which has been running in whatever frequency it was running before, begins to entrain to the coherent signal from your heart. The fragmentation of high beta begins to smooth. The noise in your broadcast begins to clear. You are, right now, tuning your frequency. Hold this for 2 minutes, if you can. 2 minutes of coherent breathing with felt warmth in your chest. And notice what changes. Not in your thoughts, in the quality of your awareness. There is often a sense of expansion, of things becoming slightly more vivid, of a quality of presence that is different from ordinary waking consciousness. That is your quantum mind coming online. That is what your field feels like when it is coherent. This is not a one-time practice. It is a recalibration that, done regularly, begins to shift your baseline frequency. The heart math research shows that people who practice heart coherence regularly demonstrate lasting changes in their heart rate. Variability patterns, meaning their default electromagnetic broadcast shifts toward coherence even when they are not actively practicing. The signal changes. And as the signal changes, the reality assembling around it changes with it. Something worth understanding about this practice is that its power accumulates in a specific way. The first time you do it, you are creating a temporary state. The 50th time you do it, you are reinforcing a neural pathway. The 500th time, you are no longer creating a state at all. You are returning to a baseline. The coherence has become your resting frequency rather than a peak you have to climb to. And when coherence is your resting frequency, the quality of your moment-to-moment broadcast is fundamentally different from what it was when coherence was an occasional achievement. This is the distinction between someone who has had a few peak experiences of clarity and someone who lives from clarity. The difference is not talent or spiritual advancement. It is repetition. It is the accumulated neurological effect of returning again and again to the coherent frequency until the nervous system learns that this is home. Now let's go deeper into the mechanics of what your frequency is actually doing when it interacts with the quantum field. Because there is a layer of this that most people never reach, and it is the layer where things get genuinely extraordinary. In quantum mechanics, there is a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance, and he was not wrong to be astonished by it. Entanglement occurs when two quantum particles interact in such a way that their quantum states become correlated, regardless of the distance between them. Once entangled, a measurement performed on one particle instantly affects the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are, not after a delay. Instantly. This has been confirmed experimentally at distances of over 1,000 kilometers, and the effect is real. It is not a communication of information in the classical sense, which is why it doesn't violate the speed of light. It is something stranger and more fundamental. The two particles are, in some sense, that defies classical intuition, still part of the same quantum system, even though they are separated in space. Now here is what this means for your field. Every interaction you have ever had, every person you have ever been in meaningful contact with, every place you have spent significant time, every event that has generated a strong electromagnetic response in your body has left an entanglement signature, not metaphorically. At the quantum level, your field has interacted with those systems, and that interaction has created correlations that persist. You are, right now, quantum entangled with people and places and moments from your past. This is why certain people walk into your life, and something in your field recognizes them before your conscious mind has processed the data. This is why certain places make you feel like you belong there before you have any logical reason to feel that way. This is why certain ideas, when they arrive, feel less like new information and more like remembering something you already knew. Your field has been there before. The entanglement is real. But here is the part that matters most for your creative power. Entanglement is not just a record of the past. It is a mechanism of the future, because your field is entangled with the quantum probability field of reality. And because quantum probability collapses toward coherent information, the frequency you are broadcasting right now is not just describing your current state. It is entangling with the quantum states of the future events, people, and circumstances that are consistent with that frequency. When you broadcast coherence, you are entangling with coherent outcomes. When you broadcast fragmentation and fear, you are entangling with fragmented and fearful outcomes, not because the universe is rewarding or punishing you, because quantum systems entangle with systems that share their information signature, because like frequencies recognize each other at the quantum level and draw together. This is the precise mechanism behind the experience of synchronicity. Those moments when the right person appears at the right time, when the exact resource you needed shows up before you had a chance to look for it, when reality seems to be conspiring in your favor. That is not coincidence. That is quantum entanglement between your coherent field and the probability states of a reality that shares your frequency. And it is available to you right now, not eventually, when you have done enough work on yourself. Right now, in this moment, as soon as your frequency shifts into coherence. Think about a time when you felt your own energy shift a room, or when someone responded to you differently because of something invisible you were radiating. What did that feel like in your body? Drop it in the comments. These moments matter, and I think you will find you are not alone in them. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. Thomas was a physicist by training, which made his experience particularly interesting because he had spent his entire career building sophisticated mental defenses against exactly the kind of thinking he was about to encounter. He had been struggling for 3 years with a research problem that he could not solve, not for lack of intelligence or effort. He was, by any measure, exceptionally capable. But the problem was at the edge of what his field understood. And every analytical approach he took hit the same wall. He was, he would later say, like someone trying to see in a dark room by thinking harder about light. His beta wave mind, trained to a razor's edge by years of rigorous academic work, had become the obstacle. Not because analytical thinking is bad, because he was using it in a domain where it was not the right instrument. He was trying to solve a quantum problem with a classical mind. What changed was not his intelligence, it was his frequency. A colleague, half joking, suggested he try meditation. He tried it with the skepticism you might expect from someone who had spent 20 years demanding evidence for everything. He sat down, he breathed, and for the first week, nothing happened except that he felt restless and slightly foolish. But in the second week, something shifted. He began to notice that in the state between the formal practice and ordinary waking consciousness, in the theta wave threshold state, where the analytical mind had temporarily stepped back, ideas were arriving. Not thoughts he was generating, ideas that were arriving. Information that felt like it was coming from somewhere other than his own reasoning process. He started writing these ideas down before his analytical mind could evaluate and discard them. And over the following months, 3 of those ideas turned out to be the exact conceptual moves that unlocked the research problem he had been stuck on for 3 years. He did not become less rigorous. He became more capable because he had learned to access a frequency of mind that his training had never taught him to use. The theta wave state, the coherent, open, receptive frequency of a mind that has temporarily released its grip on what it already knows, is not a lesser state of consciousness. It is a different instrument. And for certain kinds of knowing, it is the only instrument that works. Thomas later described what had happened in language that surprised his colleagues. He said it felt like the problem had been solved before he found the solution. Like the answer was already there in the quantum field, and his coherent frequency had simply allowed him to receive it. That is not mysticism. That is a description of how information moves between coherent quantum systems. The answer was there, in the probability field, as a potential. His coherent frequency entangled with it, and the entanglement allowed the information to arrive. Your mind has this capacity. You have always had it. The question is whether you are broadcasting the frequency that allows you to receive what the field is already offering. What is worth noting about Thomas is that his breakthrough did not come because he abandoned his analytical mind. It came because he learned to use it in sequence with his theta wave access rather than in place of it. He would enter the meditative state, receive the idea, write it down, and then bring his full analytical rigor to the task of evaluating and developing what had arrived. The 2 modes of mind were not in competition. They were complementary instruments in a process that required both. This is the model that the most creatively productive scientists, artists, and innovators throughout history have used, often without knowing they were using it. The period of intense, focused work that builds the question to a pitch. The deliberate release of that focus, the walk, the bath, the moment of apparent idleness, and then the arrival of the insight that the focused work alone could never have generated. What looked like idleness was actually a frequency shift, a deliberate or accidental drop from high beta into alpha or theta, where the quantum mind could do what the analytical mind could not. You do not have to wait for accidental moments of insight. You can learn to engineer the frequency shift. You can learn to move between the focused precision of beta and the receptive coherence of theta, the way a skilled musician moves between registers. And when you can do that, the quality of what you are able to create, to know, to receive, changes fundamentally. Now let me address something directly, because it is the question that is probably forming in the background of your thinking right now. Is this real? Or is this a beautiful story about real science that has been extended beyond what the evidence actually supports? This is a fair question, and it deserves a direct answer. The electromagnetic fields generated by the brain and heart are real, measured, documented in thousands of peer-reviewed studies. The HeartMath Institute's measurements of the cardiac field are real. The correlation between heart rate variability, coherence, and measurable improvements in cognitive function, emotional regulation, and intuitive accuracy is real. Quantum entanglement is real. The sensitivity of the quantum field to information is real. The role of observation and information in quantum state collapse is real. What is less settled is the precise mechanism by which these phenomena interact to produce the effects we are describing. The Orch-OR theory of quantum consciousness is a serious scientific proposal, but it is not yet confirmed. The specific claim that your personal electromagnetic field is interacting with quantum probability in a way that shapes physical outcomes is supported by the mechanisms of physics, but has not been directly measured in the way that, say, heart rate variability has been measured. What this means is that we are in a space where the science is real, and the mechanisms are plausible, and the experiential evidence is overwhelming, and the direct experimental confirmation of the full chain is still being built. And here is what I want you to hold with that honest uncertainty. The experiential evidence is not nothing. When millions of people across cultures and centuries report that shifting their inner frequency produces measurable changes in their outer reality, that is data. It is not the same kind of data as a randomized controlled trial, but it is not nothing. The history of science is full of phenomena that were experienced and reported and used long before the mechanism was understood. Aspirin was used for thousands of years before anyone understood prostaglandins. Acupuncture produces measurable physiological effects that Western medicine is still working to explain. The mechanism catching up to the experience does not retroactively invalidate the experience. So hold this as what it is: a framework that is grounded in real science, extended toward a frontier that is still being mapped, and supported by a quality and quantity of human experience that deserves to be taken seriously. Not as dogma, as a working model that is worth testing in your own life, because the test is available to you. Shift your frequency. Practice coherence. Broadcast consciously, and watch what changes. Not in a wishful, credulous way, in a rigorous, observant way. Notice what arrives when you are coherent. Notice what contracts when you are fragmented. Keep your own data. The quantum field is not asking you to believe in it. It is asking you to interact with it. And interaction is something you can do right now. Let's talk about what your thoughts have been broadcasting that you didn't choose. Because this is the part of the conversation that requires the most honesty and also the most compassion. Most of what your mind broadcasts is not what you would consciously choose to broadcast. Most of it is inherited, installed, running on programs that were written by your earliest experiences before you had the cognitive capacity to evaluate or refuse them. The human nervous system is exquisitely designed to learn from early experience. In the first years of life, the brain is running primarily in theta and delta waves, the slowest, most open, most receptive frequencies. This is not a limitation of infant cognition. It is a feature. The brain is in a state of maximum receptivity because it needs to absorb as much information about its environment as possible, as quickly as possible. It is downloading the operating system. But here is the psha of that extraordinary openness. The programs that get installed in those early years, the beliefs about safety and worth and possibility and threat, the emotional patterns that become the default response to stress, the relational templates that shape every connection you will ever make. These are not installed through conscious evaluation. They are installed directly into the subconscious, into the deep layers of neural architecture that run below the level of your conscious awareness. And those programs generate a frequency. The neural patterns laid down in early childhood are not just memories. They are active, ongoing electromagnetic events. They are part of your broadcast right now. The belief that you are not quite enough, if it was installed in you at age 4, is not just a thought you sometimes have. It is a pattern of neural firing that is generating an electromagnetic frequency that is broadcasting into your field every moment of every day, whether or not you are consciously thinking about it. This is why simply deciding to think differently is often not enough. You can consciously affirm your worth while your subconscious neural patterns are broadcasting the opposite frequency. And the quantum field is not reading your conscious intentions. It is reading your total electromagnetic signal. And if the dominant frequency in that signal is the old program, the old belief, the old pattern of fear or lack or unworthiness, that is what the field responds to. This is not a reason for despair. It is a reason for understanding. Because once you understand the mechanism, you can work with it rather than against it. The way to change what your subconscious is broadcasting is not to argue with it at the level of thought. It is to change the frequency at the level of the field. And the most powerful way to do that is through the states of consciousness that access the subconscious directly. Theta waves. The frequency of deep meditation, of the threshold between waking and sleep, of hypnagogic states. This is the frequency at which the subconscious was originally programmed. And it is the frequency at which it can be reprogrammed. When you enter Theta, you are not just relaxing. You are accessing the layer of your neural architecture where the old programs live. And in that state, with the right quality of intention, you can begin to rewrite them. This is why consistent meditation practice produces changes that go beyond relaxation. Why people who meditate regularly for extended periods report not just feeling calmer, but feeling fundamentally different. Like something in their baseline has shifted. Like the background frequency of their life has changed. Because it has. The theta wave access to subconscious neural patterns practiced regularly begins to aid the programs. The old electromagnetic signatures of fear and lack begin to be replaced by new ones. And as the subconscious broadcast changes, the total electromagnetic signal changes. And as the total signal changes, the quality of reality assembling around it changes. This is not a quick process. It is not a weekend workshop. It is a highwind reprogramming of neural architecture, and neural architecture changes slowly. But it does change. The brain is neuroplastic. It rewires in response to repeated experience. And the experience of coherent theta wave meditation, practiced regularly, is one of the most powerful rewiring agents available to the human nervous system. You are not stuck with the broadcast you were given. You are the author of the broadcast you choose. There is one more dimension of the subconscious broadcast that deserves specific attention, and it is the one that is hardest to see because it wears the face of virtue. Some of the most powerful frequency-suppressing programs are not the ones that feel like fear or shame. They are the ones that feel like responsibility, like duty, like the reasonable management of expectations. The program that says, "Don't get too excited because you'll only be disappointed," is not felt as a limitation. It is felt as wisdom. The program that says, "Don't want too much because wanting too much is selfish," is not felt as a constraint on your frequency. It is felt as maturity. These programs are among the most persistent because they are the hardest to identify as programs at all. They present themselves as hard-won knowledge rather than installed limitations. And they generate a frequency of preemptive contraction, a subtle but constant dampening of the signal that operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. The electromagnetic signature of preemptive contraction is distinctive. It is not the jagged, high-amplitude noise of acute anxiety. It is more like a hand pressed lightly but constantly over the transmitter. The signal gets out, but it is quieter than it should be, softer than the actual power behind it, and the quantum field, which responds to signal strength as well as signal quality, responds to a dampened signal with dampened results. Recognizing this pattern in yourself requires a particular quality of honest attention, not self-criticism, curiosity, the willingness to ask when you notice yourself moderating your own enthusiasm or quietly lowering your own expectations, whether that moderation is genuine discernment or whether it is an old program keeping you small in the name of keeping you safe. The distinction matters because genuine discernment does not dampen your frequency. It refines it. It sharpens the signal rather than quieting it. But the preemptive contraction of an old protective program does the opposite. It turns down the volume on the very transmission that the quantum field needs to read clearly. You are not stuck with the broadcast you were given. You are the author of the broadcast you choose. Now let me show you something about the way your thoughts interact with quantum probability that is more precise than most people ever learn. In quantum mechanics, the concept of the observer effect is often simplified to the point of distortion. People say the observer collapses the wave function, which is true, but the word observer tends to imply a conscious human being, and that implication is misleading. In quantum mechanics, what collapses a wave function is not consciousness per se. It is information exchange. It is any interaction between a quantum system and another system that results in the quantum system state becoming correlated with the state of the other system. But here is what is interesting. Information exchange is not symmetrical. The more coherent the information carried by the observing system, the more clearly and completely the quantum state is determined by the interaction. A noisy, incoherent measurement produces a less definite result than a precise, coherent one. Translated into the language of your personal field, this means that the coherence of your electromagnetic broadcast is directly related to the precision with which the quantum field responds to it. A coherent signal produces a precise response. A fragmented signal produces an ambiguous one. Think about what this means for intention. When you hold an intention in a state of coherent presence, in a state of heart-brain synchrony, in the clear, settled frequency of someone who is not anxious about the outcome, but is simply radiating the reality they are choosing. That intention is a coherent quantum signal. It is interacting with the quantum probability field with precision. It is collapsing probability in a specific direction. When you hold an intention in a state of anxious wanting, of desperate hoping, of the fragmented high beta frequency of someone who needs this to happen because they are afraid of what happens if it doesn't. That intention is a noisy signal. It is interacting with the quantum probability field, but the interaction is ambiguous. The field cannot read a clear instruction from it, and the result is ambiguous. This is the precise reason why the feeling of needing something tends to push it away, while the feeling of already being in resonance with it tends to draw it near. Not because the universe rewards non-attachment as a spiritual virtue, because coherent signals produce precise quantum collapses, and the frequency of need is by definition incoherent. It is the frequency of a system that is running a contradiction, simultaneously broadcasting the desire for something and the belief in its absence. The quantum field reads both, and it responds to both. And the result is the quantum equivalent of two contradictory commands given to the same system simultaneously. The frequency of already being in resonance with something, of inhabiting the felt reality of the desired state before it has physically manifested, is coherent. It is a single, clear signal. And a single, clear signal produces a single, clear response from the field. This is not wishful thinking. This is signal theory applied to quantum probability. And it is why the practices that actually work, the ones that produce real, observable changes in people's lives, are not the ones that focus on wanting more intensely. They are the ones that shift the frequency of the person doing the wanting, that move the broadcast from the frequency of lack to the frequency of coherence with the desired reality. You cannot think your way to a different frequency. You have to feel your way there, because frequency is not a cognitive event. It is an electromagnetic one, and electromagnetic fields are generated by felt states, by the actual electrochemical reality of your nervous system's current condition, not by the thoughts you are consciously running above it. This is why the practice we did earlier, the coherent field, anchoring with felt warmth in the chest, is more powerful than any affirmation, because it changes the actual electromagnetic frequency of your field. It doesn't just change what you are telling yourself, it changes what you are broadcasting. And the quantum field responds to the broadcast, not the story. Let me take you to a specific moment that you have probably experienced without knowing what it was. You are in a conversation with someone, and something shifts, not in the words, in the air between you. Something in the quality of the connection changes, becomes suddenly more alive, more present, more charged with a kind of resonance that you can feel but not quite name. Both of you notice it. Neither of you can explain it. The conversation goes somewhere it wasn't going before. Something is said that neither of you planned to say. An idea arrives that belongs to both of you simultaneously. This is field resonance. This is two coherent electromagnetic fields, two personal auras, synchronizing with each other and producing an emergent frequency that is more powerful than either alone. The heart math researchers call this social coherence, and they have measured it. When two or more people enter heart coherence simultaneously, their electromagnetic fields begin to synchronize, producing a combined field that is measurably different from the sum of the individual fields. This is the physics of what happens when two people are truly present with each other, not just in the same room. Present, coherent, broadcasting at full frequency. The resonance between their fields produces something new, a shared quantum state that neither could have accessed alone. This is also why certain groups, certain teams, certain communities produce results that seem disproportionate to the talent or resources involved. The coherence of the collective field is a creative force that amplifies the capacity of every individual within it. When you are in a coherent group, you are not just benefiting from other people's skills. You are operating within a shared electromagnetic field that is raising the quantum coherence of your own broadcast. And this is why the people you spend the most time with matter more than most people realize, not just in terms of their attitudes or their influence on your thinking, in terms of the electromagnetic fields they are broadcasting and the way those fields interact with yours. A chronically incoherent field, someone running perpetually on the frequency of fear or cynicism or despair, will entrain your field toward incoherence over time, not because they are bad people, but because electromagnetic fields interact, and the stronger or more persistent signal tends to influence the weaker one. This is not a reason to abandon people who are struggling. It is a reason to be conscious about the electromagnetic environment you are spending the most time in. To understand that protecting your coherence is not selfishness. It is the prerequisite for being genuinely useful to anyone. A coherent field in a room of incoherent fields does not simply get dragged down. A sufficiently strong, sufficiently stable, coherent field actually entrains the incoherent ones toward greater coherence. This is the mechanism behind what we call a calming presence, someone whose coherence is so stable that being around them makes other people feel more settled, more capable, more like themselves. You can be that person, not by trying to be calming, by being coherent, by maintaining the stability of your own electromagnetic broadcast, regardless of what is happening around you. And as you do, your field becomes a force of coherence in every environment you enter. This is what it means to be a conscious broadcaster. Not to control other people's experience, to be so clearly and powerfully yourself, so fully broadcasting your actual frequency rather than the noise of your conditioning, that your presence itself becomes an invitation to coherence. Now let me address the moment of unlocking that the title refers to. because there is something specific happening right now, in this period of time, in the collective electromagnetic field of human consciousness that is worth understanding. The Schumann resonance is the electromagnetic frequency of the Earth itself. It is generated by the resonance between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, a cavity that functions as a giant electromagnetic resonator. The base frequency of this resonance is approximately 7.83 Hertz, which is, remarkably, within the range of human alpha and theta brain waves. The Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat and the human brain's most receptive frequencies are in the same range. This is not coincidence. Life evolved within the Earth's electromagnetic field. The human nervous system did not develop in a vacuum. It developed in constant interaction with the electromagnetic environment of the planet. And the overlap between the Schumann resonance and human theta alpha frequencies suggests a deep evolutionary resonance between human consciousness and the Earth's electromagnetic field. What is notable is that the Schumann resonance is not fixed. It fluctuates, and in recent decades, researchers have observed periods of significant elevation in the Schumann resonance, spikes that take the Earth's electromagnetic frequency well above its 7.83 baseline. These spikes have been correlated by some researchers with periods of heightened collective human activity, with major events, with what people often describe as times when things feel accelerated, when change is happening faster, when the usual rules seem temporarily suspended. The mechanism of this correlation is not fully understood, but the electromagnetic relationship between the Earth's field and human consciousness is real. And the possibility that elevations in the Earth's electromagnetic frequency are influencing the collective coherence of human neural fields is consistent with what we know about electromagnetic entrainment. What this means, if the correlation holds, is that we may be living in a period when the electromagnetic conditions for human consciousness are unusually favorable for coherence. When the Earth's own field is supporting a shift toward the alpha and theta frequencies where quantum mind access is most available. When the unlocking described in this video's title is not just an individual possibility, but a collective one. This is not a claim about apocalypse or ascension or any specific narrative about what this period means. It is a claim about electromagnetic conditions, about the possibility that the background frequency of the planetary field is, in this period, more aligned with human coherence than it has been in recent memory. And if that is true, then the practice of conscious frequency management is not just personally powerful right now, it is collectively significant. Every person who shifts their broadcast from fragmented incoherence to conscious coherence is adding to the coherent signal of the collective field. Every aura that comes online that stops broadcasting the noise of inherited conditioning and begins broadcasting the clear frequency of its actual nature is contributing to a collective electromagnetic shift that has implications far beyond the individual. This is not a burden. It is an invitation. The most powerful thing you can do for the world right now may be to get your own frequency coherent, not as a spiritual performance, as a genuine electromagnetic contribution to the field that everyone shares. Your light is not just for you. Your coherence is not just for your own benefit. The field you broadcast is part of the field everyone lives in. And a coherent field in a sea of fragmentation is not just a personal achievement. It is a gift to the collective. Let me give you one more practice before we move toward the close of this transmission. This one is specifically for the moments when you can feel your frequency fragmenting, when something has happened. A conversation, a piece of news, a memory, a fear that has pulled your broadcast out of coherence and into the noise of high beta. This is the practice for those moments. It is called frequency reclaim, and it works through what neuroscientists call pattern interruption, combined with coherent reentrainment. The moment you notice your frequency fragmenting, the moment you feel the familiar texture of anxiety or reactivity, or the low-grade hum of dread, do this. Stop whatever you are doing, even if just for 30 seconds. Physical movement helps here. Stand up if you can. Put your feet flat on the floor and feel the contact. This is not metaphorical grounding. It is literal electromagnetic contact between your body and a surface, which has a measurable effect on the body's electrical state. Now, put one hand on your heart, as before, and instead of breathing in the 5-count coherence rhythm, do something slightly different. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, out for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts. This is box breathing, and its neurological effect is to rapidly engage the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting the autonomic balance away from sympathetic activation, away from the fight or flight response that is the physiological driver of high beta fragmentation. As you breathe, say this silently or aloud. not as an affirmation you are trying to believe, as a frequency declaration, a statement of the reality you are choosing to broadcast. Say, I am the field. I am not the noise. My signal is clear. These words are not magic. They are a cognitive anchor for the frequency shift you are simultaneously creating through the breath and the physical grounding. The words give your